This is the worst Edgar Allan Poe story that he ever wrote and that I have had the pleasure of reading for my podcast. And I'm going to talk about it. It's called Bernice, except it's spelled Berenice for some reason that only God knows, and he's not sharing it with me. It starts off with some literature that sounds a lot like Poe. You know, it's pretty like misery is manifold, the wretchedness of earth is multiform. Very classic, very macabre. Sounds like Poe. But this character is such an intellectual prick who apparently grew up in a library all of his life that he gets on to sentences like this. Among the numerous trains of maladies superinduced by that fatal and primary one which effected a revolution of so horrible a kind in the moral and physical being of my cousin, may be mentioned as the most distressing and obstinate in its nature, a species of epilepsy not unfrequently terminating in trance itself, trance very nearly resembling positive dissolution, and from which her manner of recovery was, in most instances, startlingly abrupt. Get that big fat dictionary out of your mouth right now. That's how most of this story is written. It's just one guy intellectually spouting off all of this jargon that he's trying to use in order to sound impressive. And it's not how Poe wrote. I've read other stories. I've read The Fall of the House of Usher, The Telltale Heart. And yeah, it's fanciful from the time, but this guy is such a know-it-all, it's like he thinks he's like Sherlock Holmes, but then he goes into these spouts of intellectual musings that don't make any sense, and it made it the hardest story to be able to read because I always read the story before I start narrating it so I can understand it, but it was so hard to actually understand what this guy was getting to because he takes one sentence that goes on for 30, 35, 40, 100 You'll be able to hear this story on The Poe Show by the end of this month.